here we go. Live on the Metal Voice. Back again, away, Michel, all the way in Montreal. I'm in Montreal. He's in Montreal. But we figured let's do a Zoom anyways.
Yeah, the new age.
The new age. I don't feel like getting out of the house. I'll do it on a Zoom.
Yeah, getting out of the house is so post-pandemic.
Yes, yes, yes. Voivod, fascinating news. The Voivod documentary is almost finished. I mean, it's complete, but there's still a little more to go. Just a little further just to make it complete. We're going to talk about We Are Connected, the documentary, some details on that. You could tell us what's happening with the band later on, and we'll take questions. Are you okay with questions? If people type in some questions, we'll make this fun. So I just want to tell everybody, in the details of this YouTube channel, the details have a link to a Kickstarter where you can donate to the completion of this movie. So again, do not send the money to me. I don't want the money. You can send it to Voivod. I don't want your money. I'm good. Just send it to Voivod. There's a link, a Kickstarter. You click on it, donate as much as you feel like. You can even get some shirts, right?
That's right. Yeah. I think if you donate $30 or more, you get limited edition shirts.
Okay. I'm going to put the shirts up. The picture of all four of you wearing those shirts. They're baseball shirts. They're not your typical black shirts. They're baseball shirts. So $30 or more and you get a shirt, correct?
Correct. Yeah. There are a couple of t-shirt designs and also a baseball shirt design as well, which is more around the $40 maybe.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I guess the first question is, where are you with this documentary? And where do you need to go? And why do you need these finances? And what stage are you at? Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, it's been in the works for quite a while, and it's tens of thousands of dollars to make a movie. And we had a very successful first Kickstarter that allowed us to move forward a lot. And now we're trying to have a cut for the summer festivals. So the physical the version for the physical release will be longer, but we're trying right now to do an edit for the summer fest, and something we want to have it ready for the summer basically. And it's really the last stretch where Felipe is doing some animation with my art and adjusting colors, and it's the final stages, but we do need some money to finish it up, since it's all it's been a self-produced
self-financed. Yeah, self-financed. So from my understanding, and Felipe Balacazar, right? His last name. Sorry, Felipe. I don't want to screw up your last name.
We might have to ask him. I think it's Balacazar, maybe.
He's making this. I've met him. Wonderful guy. Makes great documentaries. There's a final stage. So the movie's edited, correct?
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff to be added still, but it's almost done. It's just that again, we really wanted to have a cut made for the festivals,
for the theater.
Yes, and mainly heavy metal festivals for now that are interested in showing it at their festival. But in the theater, for a theater release, we'll see what happens. But there will definitely be a physical release eventually with bonus material and etc. And it's been I mean, it first started in when Piggy passed in 2005, where we had the idea of doing some documentary mainly to honor him. And so in 2006, when Piggy passed, we were like maybe 2 or 3 years without doing any touring. At this point, Snake, Jason Newsted, and I were on a mission to finish the 2 albums we had started in 2004. And so it gave me some time to gather the archives and put it into digital format. But when we reformed for the Heavy Montreal Festival in 2008, we just went on tour forever, and so everything was sort of put aside for a long time. And then must be about 7 or 8 years ago when Felipe got in touch with me. He really wanted to do that movie, and he sent me the DVD of the documentary he had done about the band Death
Yeah.
by Metal,
Yeah.
and I was really amazed of uh, with I mean the way he it's a bit like a Ken Burns documentary vibe where if he's missing some archives, he will do a pan or a zoom on an old photo, or so the visual keeps moving, and I really like that documentary, and I was convinced he could do something great and for Voivod. So we started working on this, and of course, his travels were cut short by the pandemic, but it's a period that it gave me the opportunity, since Voivod was not touring, it gave me the opportunity to gather even more archives and put them into digital format. So now, after all these years, it's almost done. The last mile.
I remember I talked to Felipe at the Jazz Fest when Voivod played, and now we're talking about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
It was summer of 2019, the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like then it was almost done, but then all of COVID happened and it just shut everything down. So that really, stopped everything in its tracks. Um,
Yeah, but then again, it gave me the opportunity to be at home and try to track down some amazing footage and archives that friends of
Good.
mine had in their, and so we were able to add some more stuff. And of course, then in 2022, we started touring internationally again, and we started winning Junos, and so it's even more material to add to the whole thing. And I think pretty much sure that the last footage we got with Felipe was at the Wacken last year,
Oh,
and
good.
so I don't think he needs more archives. There's tons of material. In fact, I checked the latest cut today, and it really made me realize how much of a long and winding roller coaster ride it was. It's a pretty eventful career, I must say.
Because history doesn't stop, right? Like today is history. After today, it's history, right? And whatever you do tomorrow is could be added if you really wanted to, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's at one point you almost have to stop and say, okay,
This point.
maybe there'll be a second movie.
Let me ask you this something, Michel. How far back does the footage go? To the days of where you're playing in the garage in Jonquière, or how far does it go? The footage.
Well, we were not able to track down footage from when we were teenagers.
Okay.
Unfortunately, only photos, family photos. Um, but I would think that I think the footage goes back to when we formed the band in '83. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure on French TV there was interviews that you did right at the start, right when you first started getting a little bit of popularity, right?
Yeah, I was checking bits of it today on the new cut of the film, and we had this really heavy, thick northern accent that we lost over the years in Montreal.
So you know what? I'm going to take some questions here. So if anybody wants to ask away some questions, um, the first one I saw was, let me just go back here a bit. And if I turn this way, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking at the board. Okay. When are you going? So I can't even pronounce his name. DEFCON 66. DEFCON 66 says, away, when are you going to do a full album tour? If ever, when do you get a full, well, I'm going to say,
Oh,
when will you do a full album tour? Like Nothing Face, the
yeah,
whole album.
it's a good question. We actually had a great time when we could not go on tour during COVID. We did a couple of online shows where we revisited Dimension Hatros or Nothing Face. It was really fun first to learn some songs that we had never played live, and so it could be something very interesting. The closest we're getting to that, I guess, is this summer in July. We are going to play the Chaos Descends festival in Germany, where we want to cover the first 5 albums, but
Oh,
not all albums, of course. But we'll sort of make a survey of the
I
80s
have
on
this
this
one right
thing.
here. See this here? Remember this?
Ah, nice.
That's
That's a nice.
album 2, 3, 4, and 5,
Yeah.
I think.
You know, like whenever I'm not either touring, recording, or writing music with Voivod, I work on reissues a lot. And this noise reissue, it was countless hours of work, but it was on another occasion for me to gather material for the movie because I had to put all my archives into digital format.
Look at this. You got everything here. I think there's a live show here too. If you
Yeah,
remember.
the no speed limit weekend we did
No speed.
with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah
yeah.
with DRI agnostic front and a crazy weekend.
In this documentary, I'll go back and forth with questions here and questions that I have. Terry Brown is one of the interviewed people, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the guys. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about that? How you got him involved?
Um, it was when we were we did the first for the Nothing Face album. We did some shows with Rush in Canada, and so we had a connection with these people, and through them and their management, got in touch with Terry Brown, which was producing their albums, and we wanted him to produce Angel Rat, which had more of a progressive rock style to it, and so we ended up at Metal Works in Mississauga, where I was able to visit the huge warehouse where all the Triumph um,
Memorabilia.
yeah, it's all stored in the big room. It was
I was
really
there. I've
amazing.
been there. It's huge. Yeah.
It was amazing, wonderful experience. So we spent a lot of time in Mississauga working on Angel Rat with Terry Brown, real gentleman.
Yeah.
And
You know,
lately, Angel Rat has been re-released on vinyl, and we had it remastered. And when I was checking the new masters, it really made me. I got a better appreciation of all the work he put into that album. There are a lot
great
of
album.
layers, and
Yeah.
it really fit the mood of the music.
Will there be any remixes of any of the older Voivod albums? Do you have the masters? Can you remix
It,
them? Or
it could be done, but I came to think over the years that like okay, I might have been frustrated with, let's say, the sound of Roar, or but now I think it is the perfect sound for that type of music from the mid 80s, and I think a remastering job is good enough, and I wouldn't remix the albums because it's really reflective of a specific period for me. And
Mhm.
like when let's say the first album War and Pain was remastered, I almost thought when I heard the new version that it had been remixed. The technology is unbelievable. Even the intro with the chains and the Voivod walking in the snow, I was hearing new sounds, and so I think a good remastering job is good enough. And I think that remixing sometimes feels like rewriting history, and
People
like
rewrite history all the time. It's okay.
I guess
I'm just kidding. I know what you're saying. You're saying it's a snapshot of a period of time, and you don't want to play with that. I understand
yeah,
that.
yeah. Sometimes, like let's say I heard a greatest hits of the Doors, which I'm a big fan of, and the songs were remixed with the drums much louder. And after a while, it got on my nerves because I was so used of hearing a specific sound and it didn't reflect the Summer of Love anymore.
It's funny because I heard that same remix of the Doors, and there's sounds that weren't there before. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on here? All right.
Yeah.
Voivod Rules says, can you ask away if there will be any cross Canadian tour in 2024? So he means Canada, right
Yeah.
across.
Yeah, we just off a tour with Prong across USA, but we only did one Canadian date in Vancouver, which was fantastic. But yes, this year we want to go across Canada for sure. We're looking into all opportunities right now. Um, Last year we went really crazy with the touring because of the 40th anniversary. This summer we have a few shows there and there. Some shows in Quebec, in the province of Quebec in mid-May. Some shows in Europe in July. But mainly we would love to sit down and write a new album.
All right. Martin Popoff says hi. Says the audio
Hello.
sounds great. Hey, Martin, good
Uh,
friend.
Hello,
The
Martin. Martin is largely responsible for my book, Worlds Away, getting out, of course, you know.
Yes, yes. Martin is a guru. I call him the guru of all books. Love Martin. Uh,
Yeah, and I loved Liveber, and he likes Nico. I remember a discussion we had about that.
here goes. Hello, Michelle, Natasha, and Imran, aka Yogurt Sandwich. My question is, how long will the documentary be, and will Voivod be hosting a showing of it in Montreal? It's two
Well,
questions there. How long is it going to
yeah,
be? And will they do a theatrical maybe release in
yeah.
Montreal with showings?
I would think that the theatrical release will probably be 2 hours. Right now, the long cut I checked today was 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that's probably for the physical release. So at least a couple of hours long. And there are a lot of archives, but also a lot of interviews with Tobias from Ghost, Mikael from Opeth, our good friend Tom Warrior from Celtic Frost, and Terry Brown, Jason Newsted, of course, Eric Forrest, and so it makes for a pretty long movie. But there is a lot of visuals as well because I supplied Felipe with all of my art throughout the decades.
Okay, you mentioned some of the people being interviewed. EForce is going to be there. You said Jason Newsted's going to be on it, right?
Yeah, of
But
course, yeah,
there's also wait up, hold on. There's Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth, right? He's going to be on
yes,
it,
yeah.
correct? Tobias Forge is going to be on it. Who else didn't we mention that? Didn't you mention now that's going to be interviewed? If you could, from
Oh,
what you could remember,
well, one of the number one fans, of course, is King Folly from Deceased.
King
He's on
Folly,
there
yeah.
as well. Um, um, I'm not sure if I pronounce his name right, but Svan Dano, maybe. Um,
Dan Zvano, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes. Dan Zvano,
that's
yes, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
He's a pretty famous figure in the heavy metal, and oh man, I forget. You know, it's quite a long movie, so
So in other words, it's sort of like the past, the family of Voivod, right? Basically, it's the
yeah.
family, from the
Um,
Jason Newsted era to the E-Force era to Snake coming back and Chewie coming in, Rocky coming in. So
yeah.
it's the whole family, right?
And it really starts at the beginning, and even before Voivod, you know, of course with family photos, but there's a good narrative about the early years. And what I was amazed of is the fact that Felipe found a photo of the street I grew up in, by the factory, the paper mill, from, I don't know, it looks like a 50s or 60s photo. And yeah, and he was able to pinpoint my house on that photo, which is unbelievable. And I like all these projects. I mean, there is a book coming out as well by Jeff Wagner, about Voivod, called Always Moving. And so uh, all of this, you know, makes me I have to go through my archives a lot for these projects. And sometimes it's filled with a lot of emotions because
Yeah,
it's
I'm
been
sure.
yeah, it's been quite a chaotic career. And so I must say it's easier for me to do reissues or work on the movie or the book whenever we are moving forward with Voivod. So I don't have to be too focused on the past, you know. So usually I work, not that I procrastinate on reissues or the movie or all that, but it's harder for me to really dig in 100% if I'm not working on something for the future, in terms of writing a new album, or so I have to balance both to be healthy in my mind.
Explain to everybody where Jonquière is. So people just don't understand, right? They think maybe it's a suburb of Montreal, but it's not. It's you're going way up north.
Oh yeah, it's you go towards Quebec City. Once you get to Quebec City, you sort of go north a bit through the woods for a couple of hours, and then it's beautiful, the road to Jonquière. And then once you get there, it's sort of a mixture of nature and industries in a way. And so it's a bit isolated. We had to hitchhike 500 kilometers to go see shows at the Spectrum in Montreal, like the Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Girls' School, and so it was a long hitchhiking ride. But we had a friend, um, Wayne Archibald,
Yeah, yeah.
who Wayne had a lot of pen pals around the world, and he always had the new demos from the upcoming bands, which was amazing. Metallica with Dave Mustaine, or the early Raven demos, and so he really kept us up to date with the new wave of British heavy metal in particular, and we were really, really influenced by that. Aside from punk rock and
And Wayne helped you get the tape to Metal Blade, correct? Like back in the day,
yes,
right?
yes. We did like a demo in our rehearsal space that we gave to Wayne, and he spread it around, and we also sent it to a few fanzines, and eventually we got an offer to do Come Them to the Gallows on Metal Massacre 5, and soon enough we had an offer to do a full album, which we recorded very, very quickly. And at this point, I was still going to school at university, first college, then university, and I didn't know if I was going to quit school. And then the first album came out in '84, and it was really the right time because it was a period where what was going to become thrash metal was exploding. So it had a and the impact was good enough that I decided to drop out and focus mainly on Voivod. But I will always remember the famous supper when I had to tell my parents that I was quitting science for heavy metal.
What did they say? Were they okay with it?
They were very disappointed, but now, of course, my mother's super proud of me, and so we had a lot of support from our parents. We rehearsed in the basement of the office of Snake's father.
Yes.
One day we tested our pyro, and we got kicked out of there. It's actually when we moved to Montreal.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, closer to Montreal, to all the other cities, right? I mean, when you
Oh, it was obvious that after the release of War and Pain, that the four of us really wanted to dedicate our life to this new project, and it was easier to find a good infrastructure in Montreal. So the four of us moved into an apartment in the eastern part of Montreal, infested with cockroaches.
oh,
We wrote a song about
the
it.
cockroach. Here's Hate Disease says, Michel, can you tell us anything about your next album? Is there anything going on?
Oh, I mean, um, we all synced up with Logic Pro and so we can work on it on tour in hotel rooms or in the tour bus, and
Mm-hmm.
also build individual parts at home, and then but it's really when we get together in a rehearsal space that it morphs into Voivodian material. So right now we have like very basic templates for maybe 10 songs, I think. So whenever we get together to rehearse the next tour, we also try to jam new material. And we're just off the tour with Prong, which was amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're gonna take a couple of weeks break and then start working on this album again. Um, I can't really say how it's gonna sound like, but the good news for us these days is that we are writing very intricate albums and we are winning Junos.
One after
So
the other. One
yeah,
after the other.
so it's good indication that we are on the right path with
Yes.
this psychedelic proggy trash metal that we're doing. So we're probably gonna it allows us to explore even more, and
There
people
you go.
seem to
And there's your
embrace it.
last album right there, Montreal Tales.
Yeah, on this Morgoth Tales, we had an amazing time recording a survey of our career and invited Eric Forrest to sing on it, and we invited Jason Newsted to play bass on it, and also it, the good thing about it is that it allowed us to invite Jason to jump on stage with us in Florida last year, and also Eric came to sing with us at Hellfest last year as well. So it's a good times for us.
Well, he played Montreal too, right? And you guys went to see him in Montreal, EForce. Eric Forrest, he was in Montreal, right?
Yes, to the Piranha Bar,
Yes,
Huey
yes.
and I jammed in League with Satan with Eric.
Venom.
Yeah, it was a really cool. Chewy played bass on it.
You know what's funny? I wanted to go to that show. I was going to go to that show, but I was in France.
Oh, so
And Eric
Eric.
was coming back, and I was going like this.
Yeah, every time we play around Toulouse, Eric comes on stage with us. It's really great.
Okay, so now we're gonna pause here for a commercial break.
Okay.
Okay. The commercial break is fundraising for the documentary, right? The link is in the description of this video. You just click on it. It's a Kickstarter. Do not give me the money. Give it to Voivod. Do not send me any money. Send it to Voivod. Help them complete this masterpiece of a film. If you pledge more than $30, you get a shirt. There are 4 different designs. There's a t-shirt. There's baseball shirts. They're really cool. Tell me about the design of these shirts. I see 4 of them. You don't see what I'm putting up on the screen right now, but there's one like a circular one, and it looks like the Jason Newsted Voivod album. It kind of looks like that.
There is one drawing that represents planet Earth, a very polluted planet Earth floating in space. This one I did for the booklet of the self-titled album in 2003, the first one we did with Jason. There is a design from '93, like this alien with a third eye on the forehead. This one I did in '93 during the Other Limits days with ink, but it was never used for anything. There is another one that's a Mercury sign for the Phobos album, the Eric years. So try to represent different periods right there. And these are exclusive to the Kickstarter.
So everybody, just if you can, donate if you want. No pressure. We're not pressuring people. We're just saying, okay, we are.
Yeah, we are halfway through now. I just checked.
So the pressure's on. Turn the screws, as they say. Turn the screws. Let's it. What do you think about these eras? All right, when you look back at the EForce era, to me, I find it when you guys first came out with these albums, I was a little taken back, you know. But over the years, I've grown to appreciate these albums, you know.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you know, I was there on every album behind the drums, and I'm proud of every one of them. So this was a great period, actually, in the mid-90s, where metal had a bit of a lower profile because of grunge, but we were touring a lot and had a great time. And the albums were not selling a lot, but still, I have very fond memories of this period. It was unfortunate that it was cut short with the bad accident we had in '98 in Germany on our way to Wacken. So it really cut cut the wind off our wings right there, you know.
Let me ask you, there's a Voivod album is there, maybe the question should be like this: is there an unreleased Voivod album just sitting there, like that people have not heard?
Um, there are demos of an unreleased album that we did, and I would love to. It was supposed to be produced by Steve Albini, but we ended up splitting the band, and so the demos are there. I'm really hoping I can release that on a box set of the Eric years someday. It's 12 songs, and it's sort of a Voivodian metaphor of Eric's recovery after the accident, really.
Okay.
And so it's just too bad. We got disillusioned after a while, and I think it was at the end of the year 2000 where we decided to split the band, and eventually reunited with Snake and got Jason involved.
You know, I always think about, do you ever play the Jason era music live?
Yeah, yeah. We last year we played Rebel Robot, and that's why Jason came on stage with
Oh
us to
yes,
jam this
yes,
song.
yes,
And
yes, yes, I
yeah,
forgot.
he also played the song Voivod with us, and Rocky we had two basses for the Voivod song. It was great, and
I
uh,
forgot about Rebel Robot. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
and these days we are playing Rise from the Eric years.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's pretty cool that you celebrate all the eras and you don't sort of exclude. Like you just take them all in and you play them all. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, every year it's getting more difficult, but we really try to make a good survey of our career. But we have such an extensive catalog these days. Even a song from every album is too much, you know. So we sometimes we have to skip a period, and but we still. I mean, these days we play "Condemned to the Gallows." It's like the first song
Oh
we ever
yeah, yeah,
wrote and
yeah, yeah.
recorded. So this was fun to revisit, but it's funny because when we decided to re-record that for the Morgoth Tales album, we realized we didn't have the lyrics for the song, and we couldn't really hear what was going on the Metal Massacre version. And but Snake's mom still had the lyrics. It was written on a school paper with Snake left-handed writing, all smudgy and stuff, man. Unbelievable.
Parent says, "Nice to see Snake and you at girl school last week, rocking out and
Yeah,
supporting the local scene. Did you enjoy the show?"
such an amazing show, total punk metal, like I love, and great vibes in the room. Everybody's smiley on stage and in the crowd, and I had an amazing time. And of course, I saw many, many, many friends. You know, it was really cool.
Yep. There's one guy here from Mexico. Thank you, Away. Thank you for the music, your art, your work with Voivod has inspired me to still continue here. It's been really tough times for me, but Voivod music and the world, for that matters, always stand up for something that makes you feel life is still worth living. So it's a positive message. I'm
Yeah,
29 years old from Mexico, and Voivod has been my favorite band from since I was a teenager. Always will be, and always will be grateful. What do you when you go around the world? Are you surprised? Like you go to, I don't know, Mexico, or you go to different
yeah.
parts outside of North America, and there's people who love the band and follow every. How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Like knowing so many parts of the world love the band.
It's really unbelievable, and I would have never thought 41 years ago that I would still be touring the world. And of course, like let's say in the early 90s, the Eastern Europe opened their doors to us. But it's always surprising for me to get there and realize how many people are aware that we exist and they are really, really into the band. And I don't take it for granted when somebody comes to me saying that our music really inspired them through difficult times, because I myself was sort of saved by rock and roll many times, you know, and where I would totally take refuge in music, and So I'm always impressed when our music has the same effect on younger generation, and it's really cool because I really thought in the 90s that we would disappear, be forgotten, and now there are many generations into Voivod. Yeah, at least it fills up the clubs, and they're like very young people singing the lyrics to all the songs, and our old friends with their kids, and so yeah, it's a really good life, and we had many obstacles where we had to take a step aside and decide if we were going to keep going or not. And every time, what brought me back to music was the traveling parts and meeting my new and old friends. And I've become addicted to it, and it's a amazing cultural experience. And every night, after the show, I draw my day in this every specific city, and I post it online. It's going to be my next art book, road art.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Voivod Rule says, it's Andrew, by the way. What do you think of bands, especially younger death metal bands today, who list Voivod as a huge impact in their music? That's also another level, right? It's one thing to have fans appreciate and you touch fans, but now you're touching bands who,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
bands who sound like Voivod. They go, that sounds like Voivod.
Yeah. I mean, I call them PD chords, piggy chords. Denis D'Amour really came up with a very strange way of approaching music, and it has influenced a lot of uh, guitar players. And I think the band Voivod probably opened the doors to younger bands that decided to explore different style of music and incorporate prog rock into their metal and so on. And sometimes I hear the influence, but I'm not too sure if it's because we share the same love for, let's say, Killing Joke or Rush, but many of these younger bands will actually come to me and saying you're a big influence. And it's always um, I don't like, some people will be offended and say that younger bands are ripping them off, but to me it's like a compliment for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Flattery is a compliment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And let's. I'm going to say this as we're doing this. Back to the commercial break. Back to the commercial break. If you want to help the band, and this is what we're doing today. We're talking, we're chatting, and we're seeing if we could raise enough funds to get money to finish the Voivod film and the fans. It's fan driven from what Philippe sent you and he sent me is this film did not qualify for many, so people don't know this, that you could go to the federal government and you could apply for a grant to do a movie, right? But this film did not qualify because there's got to be certain different criteria to meet to qualify to get money. So you're all on your own.
Yeah.
This is a fan movie, right?
Yeah.
The
Totally.
fans are helping.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we tried our best to get money from the government and different organizations, but we had to. The fact is, we have to self-finance it. But of course, the people into Voivod are really loyal, and so they are financing the movie, and we're trying to supply goodies whenever they contribute, and VIP passes and to the shows. And so but yeah, it's going to be a movie financed by people into Voivod, which is truly fantastic.
I mean, gone are the 80s where some big guy with a lot of money is going to give, a band, all this money to finance a movie. Those days don't exist anymore. It's
Not
gone to the
really.
grassroots right now. It's the
Yeah.
grassroots. It's the fans who are going to, help make this movie a reality.
Yeah, it's even like the labels don't invest
No.
as much into bands as when we started in the 80s, where there was a budget for recording, a budget for touring, a budget for video, and a budget for everything, promotion. And so it's not the same these days, and many bands have had to go back to the DIY way of seeing things, and scale down a bit, and take it smaller. And we were surprised a lot when we started touring again in 2022, how everything, the cost of everything went up, skyrocket, like plane tickets, hotel rooms, tour bus, the crew. Everybody's trying to catch up with the loss of the few years during the COVID period, and we are really paying for it. And we have to be really, really cautious in everything we do these days, if we want to live from our music, but we are being successful at it. But it's a lot of work. We're super dedicated, and we try to supply a lot of material to the people into Voivod. We try to tour as much as we can, go everywhere. And if anything, I think will be remembered as an example of dedication.
I agree. Everything you said is like, and sometimes because a band is so dedicated, it goes. People could see it. It's not bullshit. It's not fake. You know.
And the one thing with us is, after the show, we immediately go to the merch booth to chat with everybody and sign everything we can. And it's really part of the cultural experience of touring for us, aside from walking around the club in the day, and it's really fun to meet with everybody, show after show after show. And I think that's why people are ready to support us whenever we are in need of uh, finishing a project, or we try to we don't want to do crowdfunding too many times, because we don't want to
Yeah.
demand too much money from everybody, and we know how times are. Uh, uh, but this project has been in the works for so long. It'd be a great time to release it finally. Um, and I think since there'll be a physical release, it's going to be a good add up to the collections of everybody as well.
Some really good points. You don't want to overdo it with the fundraising, right? But I think but I don't think you have. It's just, this is your final phase right now. I think there's a lot of validity to it, but I get it. You don't want to overdo it either, right? And I don't think
Yeah.
you guys do that. You respect your fans, but
Well,
Jean-Guy Rubber Boots says, Acadian from New Brunswick here. When the DVD gets released, will they include the live streams as bonus material? So you did those two live stream. You did Killing Tech
we did three of them. We call them the
Dimension.
hypercubes. We call them the
Yes.
hypercube sessions. And so the first one was like a survey of our career, and the second one was the Nothing Face album, and then
Yes.
the
Yes.
number three was Dimension Hatras, or the other way around. But we did three of them, and it's a very interesting question. I will discuss that with Felipe.
There you go.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Right now, they are available for very cheap for streaming on voivod.com. But it'd be great to have it available. And we were offered to release them on vinyl, and that's another angle that I'll be looking into. Um, but yeah, that's a great
There
point.
you go. So see that we had the chat, and now you thought of a new idea, and that's
Yeah.
let's get it done. Let's get it done. All right. What else do you want to say about the documentary that we haven't talked about? Is there anything that you want to talk about that's important that you want? I'm looking at the notes here. What else is important about this
Hmm.
documentary you'd like to share?
Oh, I mean, there is so much material. I think that let's say, just going through the Glenn Robinson interview, who produced Nothing Face with us.
Hmm.
You really get all the details about how he approached his way of recording and producing an album, and so if me myself can learn a lot watching the new cut of the movie, I think the people into Voivod will learn a lot. And of course, we're trying to um, explain the story with as much detail because as we can, because of course everybody in the band right now has been interviewed. So we get the angle from Rocky, we get the angle from Chewy, and Snake and I did a lot of interviews with Felipe. And so if you are really into knowing all the details, it's really there, and we're trying to make it as visual as we can. Like I said, I supplied Felipe with a lot of art, all of my archives, and all the months I spent during COVID in my apartment at least allowed me to scan everything. And so he's busy animating that. And it's a pleasure for me to see it's always a pleasure for me to see my art animated. And I'm always blown away because I'm being a rock and roll drummer keeps me from animating my art at home because I'm always on tour. And so whenever Felipe does a video for us, or Above the Void, who are more AI oriented, they feed the AI with my art. Whenever I see the result, I'm always blown away that my visual world is being alive in front of my eyes. And I think that people will also enjoy this artsy side of the movie as well. Philippe is working really hard on it right now.
Amazing. And this parent just remind me, you guys are playing what, May 16th in Saint Eustache in outside of Montreal, north of Montreal. Are there any other shows that you're playing?
Yes, we are playing. Um, I think it's the day after in Sherbrooke at the Granada Theater. It might be the day before Saint Eustache or the day after, but it's right back to back, you know. And then a short run in Europe in July. But a lot of time is going to be spent writing, finishing up the new album this summer.
So when and I guess this is my last question. So when do you think it's going to be ready, the new album? Like what's the target? What's is it like next year,
So
2025?
yeah, next year. We're not aiming for this year. You have to, the production delays in terms of vinyls and all that, it's a lot longer than back in the days, and you have to think way ahead these days with a few singles coming out before the release and a couple of videos. And so definitely next year, but not this year. This year we'll mainly write it, I think.
Are you so you're now at the sort of demo stage? Is that what you're saying? You're sort of
Yeah.
putting ideas together? Is that
Yeah,
it?
we have 10 plates for about 10 songs, but they are only like basic ideas that we have to jam at the rehearsal studio and turn it into real Voivodian material. But at least, like I said, when we wrote Synchro Anarchy, it was right in the middle of pandemic. We couldn't go to the studio, so we learned how to start an album on while socially distancing, and but there's nothing like going to the studio, the four of us, and jamming the material. That's really where it happens. But at least um, this new technique that we have, it's a good head start, and it makes for very good demos as well. But if I have to do it at home, I don't have a proper setup with my drum kit, so I have to program the drums to get the ideas flowing, and then but it's I normally I can't wait to go to the studio to bang on real drums, you know. That's what I live for.
John is saying Minnesota. Ken is saying Minnesota. So I guess they want you to go to Minnesota.
Well, we
Write it down.
yeah, we just played Minneapolis with Prong, though it was a wonderful night. But yeah, we love to we always love to go across USA ever since the first tour with Celtic Frost in '86, which was demented, and it's always it was a cultural shock back then. It still is today because even though they are neighbors of us, it's a different country for sure.
You know, any cool memories with the Tom Warrior with Celtic Frost?
Oh man, that tour was insane. Um, there was a place in San Diego where we were attacked by skinheads, and on stage they turned into a big brawl, and um there was the first show in Chicago. Tom was frustrated with the sound, and he pushed the stack of Marshall down on the stage, but he didn't know that Piggy's Marshall head was on top of it. It was destroyed the first show, and but yeah, it was an amazing tour because we shared the tour bus with Celtic Frost, and they had hired the band Coroner as a crew. So the atmosphere in the bus was fantastic. We were everybody has had his own collection of cassettes. So somebody would play Misfits, and then immediately after, Tom would play Frank Sinatra, and then the Marquis from Corner would play the newer industrial movement that was going to appear. You know, very very early Ministry, and so yes, fun times. And after every show, there were like 50 cars following us to the hotel. It was insane.
Like you know, here you are, you know, like English is not your first language. You're just going to the United States. Everybody speaks English there, right? I mean, is there like a sense of a little you're kind of scared you can't communicate, or like now? Okay,
Well,
now is a different
we
story, but back then we're talking about.
well, we barely knew how to speak English, and we learned a lot because of that. That's how we learned to speak English. That's while we were touring, basically at first with Celtic Frost, and then right after with Possess, and then the world tour with Creator, and Rocky, which plays bass with us these days. Well, for the past 10 years, you know, he's not a newbie anymore. And but
The new guy, the new
he
guy.
barely, when we started, he barely spoke English at all, and I saw him learn English very quickly on the road. It reminded me of us 40 years ago. So it's great.
Oh, yeah, actually, and this is my final question. My final question. The movie, okay, there's French, there's English. What are you doing in terms of subtitles? Is it just goes back and forth between French and English subtitles, French subtitles?
Oh, it will be there'll be subtitles in Québécois, French, Italian,
Oh,
Spanish. Um, I'd have to ask Felipe if he's thinking of more, but yeah, many languages will be available as subtitles. He's working on it right now.
because I think he wrote in his little. He said that it will be translated into many languages. That's all I got. I
Yeah.
got Quebec French, Standard French, Spanish, Italian. Oh boy, that's a lot. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good.
It's is a hardworking dude, and also like whenever he promises something for the Kickstarter, you can make sure that the person who invested will receive the 3D poster or the T-shirt. He does everything himself. Is a yeah. I Either he knows how to clone himself, or maybe he's a time traveler, or he has knowledge of quantum physics. I don't know how he does all that, man.
Well, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to it, watching it for like about 6, 7 years now. But hopefully it'll be completed, and I'll show the pictures one last time. You can, you know, if you pledge more than the Kickstarter link is in the description of the video. You go there. You don't send me the money. We've stated that. We'll state it again. Do not send me the money. Send the money to Voivod. They need to complete. They need another, I think, 15,000. I think it's around there
Yeah,
to get to finish and make it a theatrical release. It takes a lot of money. This is self financed. This is grassroots. This is all by the fans. You can, if you pledge more than $30, they'll even give you a T-shirt, right? You get a T-shirt
right.
for more. You can't ask for more for that. You know, you're actually getting something also if you pledge more than $30. But you shouldn't only do $30. You should do $100 and get a T-shirt just because the band's so great.
Anything counts, you know, and I'm sure we're gonna. I think we're gonna be able to wrap up this movie, and which is great because um, I mean, you know, I didn't see. How can I say? I didn't need to see the movie to know what happened because I was there.
You lived it. You lived
But
it.
I really enjoyed watching it today. I can tell you.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it when it comes out in Montreal. I will be the first to buy a ticket and go see it. And you want to end off in French? Just tell everybody what's going on in French. Show dates en français. Juste.
Oh, show dates à la mi-mai, un spectacle à Saint-Eustache et puis un autre à Sherbrooke. Et puis ensuite, un petit voyage en Europe pour quelques festivals. Mais en gros, on sera à Montréal pour composer un nouvel album. Puis donc, s'il y a des spectacles au Fofone électrique, ou c'est sûr que les gens vont me voir là. J'aime beaucoup aller voir les spectacles. Même à 60 ans.
It's amazing. All right. Away. Thank you so much, Michel. Have yourself a wonderful night. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the questions. And good luck on everything. I really wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for your help.